Ethan Cole didn't usually work night shifts anymore, not since becoming a single father. But bills didn't wait, and neither did the responsibilities that came with raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. So tonight, he'd taken a late bartending shift at the corner cafe. Finishing long after the streets had emptied, he stepped outside into the storm, pulling his jacket tight. The rain soaked him instantly, cold and sharp, but he didn't mind. The quiet helped him think. Or maybe it helped him not think, something he preferred lately. As he started toward the bus stop, he saw her, a girl, drenched, shaking, and barefoot, stumbling from the shadow beside the alley. Her hair clung to her face, and even through the rain, he could see the raw redness around her eyes. She looked young, lost, angry at something far bigger than the night itself. "Hey!" Ethan called softly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "You okay?" She stiffened, turning as if to run, but her ankle rolled, sending her collapsing to one knee with a sharp gasp. Instinct overpowered logic. Ethan rushed forward, kneeling beside her. "Don't touch me," she hissed, though her voice cracked like someone who didn't actually want to be alone. "I won't," he said gently. "Just let me see if you're hurt." Her breath trembled. Rain ran down her cheeks, blurring the difference between water and tears. For a moment, she didn't fight him. That was all he needed. Ethan slipped off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "It's freezing. Let me call someone for you." "No." She grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. "No calls." There was fear behind the defiance. Fear he recognized too well. Not the fear of danger, the fear of being found. "All right," he said, voice steady. "No calls. Let's just get you somewhere dry." She swallowed hard, looking away. Lightning flashed, illuminating her face for a single second. A face he knew he'd seen. Somewhere. On a billboard? A magazine? A charity gala ad? No, that couldn't be real. But then she whispered her name, barely audible over the storm. Ava Lancaster. The billionaire's daughter. The one tabloids called uncontrollable, unmanageable, untamable. The girl every professional had failed to help. Ethan stared at her, stunned for a heartbeat. But then the understanding hit him. Wealth didn't protect you from pain. Fame didn't shield you from loneliness. And right now, this girl wasn't a headline. She was just a scared kid at the edge of breaking. He slipped an arm under her, so she could stand, slow and careful. "Come on, my place is close. Just until the storm passes." Ava didn't thank him, didn't smile, but she didn't pull away either. That, Ethan decided, was more than enough. They walked through the rain, her body trembling beside him. She limped slightly, wincing with every step, and Ethan matched her pace without comment. The streets glistened under passing headlights, puddles rippling like echoes of something unspoken. When they reached his apartment, a small unit on the 3rd floor, he pushed open the door quietly so he wouldn't wake Lily. A soft glow from a nightlight spilled into the hall, warm and welcoming. Ava paused, staring at the little drawings taped to the wall. Flowers, stars, a crooked gingerbread house. Childish art that didn't belong to the polished world she'd grown up in. "You have a kid?" she asked, voice a whisper. "Yeah," Ethan said, guiding her to the couch. "Lily, she's everything." Something flickered across Ava's expression. Not envy, not sadness. Something closer to longing. He handed her a towel. "I'll get you some warm clothes. They might be a little big." She nodded, pressing the towel to her face. For the first time, he saw her exhale, the tension in her shoulders loosening just an inch. A tiny kindness, but as someone who'd been drowning, even an inch mattered. If you were standing in Ethan's shoes right now, what would you have done? Be honest. Tell me in the comments. And if words don't come easily, just tap like to show that compassion still counts in moments like these. Ethan returned with a sweatshirt and sweats. Ava accepted them silently, retreating to the bathroom to change. When she emerged, her hair was damp but her breathing calmer, her posture less defensive. "You hungry?" Ethan asked. She shook her head, then hesitated. "Maybe a little." He smiled gently and headed for the kitchen. As he warmed soup on the stove, he listened to the quiet, The saw from the refrigerator, the muted rainfall tapping against a window, and the slow settling of someone finally feeling safe enough to sit still. Ava lowered herself onto the couch, clutching the warm bowl Ethan handed her. She didn't devour it, didn't pretend she wasn't hurting. She just ate slowly, carefully, like someone remembering how. A small peace settled in the room. But peace, Ethan knew, never stayed long, especially for a girl whose entire world had been shouting at her for years. And as Ava set the bowl down with trembling hands, her voice cracked into the silence. "Ethan, can I ask you something?" He turned toward her, and whatever she said next would be the first crack in the truth she'd been running from. Ethan leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees, giving her space, but also letting her know he was there fully, attentively. Ava's fingers twisted in the hem of the oversized sweatshirt, knuckles pale with tension. "Why did you help me?" she whispered, eyes fixed on the floor. "You didn't know who I was. You didn't owe me anything." Her voice wasn't sharp now. It was small, too small for someone who grew up in penthouses and private jets. Ethan exhaled slowly. "Because you looked like someone who needed help. That's enough." Ava blinked hard, swallowing the emotion rising in her throat. No one ever said things like that to her, without a hidden agenda, without expecting something in return. She didn't know how to receive it. "How do you just trust people like that?" she asked, a shaky laugh slipping through. "If someone tried that with me, I'd assume they wanted something." Ethan studied her face. The exhaustion, the guardedness, the bruised kind of loneliness that had nothing to do with physical blows. "It's not about trusting strangers," he said. "It's about choosing not to let fear close every door." Ava's breath caught, like the words had touched something she wasn't ready to admit. Before either could speak again, a small shuffle echoed from the hallway. Little footsteps. A soft yawn. "Daddy? Is everything okay?" Lily stood at the doorway, her dark curls messy, her stuffed rabbit dangling from one hand. She rubbed her eyes sleepily before noticing the unfamiliar girl on the couch. Ava shifted uncomfortably, not out of pride, but out of the sudden awareness that she was an intruder in someone else's fragile peace. Ethan smiled softly. "It's all right, sweetheart. We just have a guest for tonight. This is Ava." Lily patted closer, studying Ava with the thoughtful seriousness only children could manage. Then, without hesitation, she offered the stuffed rabbit. "You look sad," she said simply. "You can borrow him if you want." Ava froze. She stared at the rabbit, then at Lily, at this tiny human who didn't know her last name or her reputation or the chaos she carried like a shadow, offering comfort with pure innocence. No cameras. No pressure, no expectations, just kindness. Ava's lips parted, her voice breaking. "Thank you, but I don't want to take your toy." "It's okay," Lily said, gently pushing the rabbit into her hands. "He helps with bad dreams." A tear slipped down Ava's cheek before she could stop it. She brushed it away quickly, embarrassed. Ethan watched quietly, making no comment, letting the moment breathe. Lily climbed onto her father's lap, resting her head against his shoulder. "Daddy, can Ava stay until the rain stops? I don't want her to be outside alone." Ethan looked at Ava, waiting for her answer. Ava nodded slowly. If that's okay." "It is," Ethan said softly. "You're safe here." For a moment, the air warmed. Like the storm outside had softened just enough to let a sliver of peace slip in. But peace wasn't the whole story. Because behind that tenderness lived something darker. The truth Ava had been running from long before tonight. She clutched the stuffed rabbit a little tighter. "Ethan, can I tell you something? And can you not look at me any differently after I say it?" He nodded. "Whatever it is, I'm listening." Ava took a breath, one that shook all the way through her. "Everyone thinks I act out, because I'm spoiled, because I'm ungrateful, because I want attention." She paused, eyes glossing. "But that's not it." Ethan remained quiet, allowing space for the truth to come. "My dad is never home," she whispered. "When he is, he treats me like an investment, not a daughter." Her voice wavered. "And my mom left years ago. I grew up with strangers raising me. Tutors, assistants, people who were paid to care. She laughed bitterly. But no one actually cared. Her confession carved through the room with devastating softness. And as Ethan listened, he understood. Her rebellion wasn't a choice. It was a scream from a heart no one bothered to hold. People make it look glamorous, Ava whispered. Being a billionaire's kid. Having everything. But the truth is, I'd trade all of it for one person who actually stayed. The room fell silent. Not the heavy silence of shame. The fragile silence of truth finally spoken aloud. Have you ever had someone show up for you when no one else would? If the answer is yes, write yes, and tell me their name. Gratitude can carry further than we think. Ava wiped her eyes quickly. Sorry, you probably think I'm dramatic. I think, Ethan said gently, you're someone who's been alone for far too long. She looked at him, really looked at him, as if trying to understand how a stranger could see her so clearly when the people closest to her never tried. Lily had fallen asleep against Ethan's chest, and he adjusted her softly, brushing a curl from her forehead. The gesture, tender, natural, loving, made Ava's heart twist in a way she didn't expect. You're a good dad, she murmured. Ethan's eyes softened with both pride and pain. I try. Some days I fail. But I keep trying. Ava hesitated. Did Lily's mom leave too? He didn't flinch, but something flickered in his eyes. Not exactly. She passed away when Lily was 3. The air stilled. Ava's breath caught. I'm so sorry. He nodded, not elaborating, and she didn't push. But the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was connection. And connection was something Ava had never been allowed to hold without it breaking. She set the rabbit beside her, hugging her knees to her chest. Ethan, can I stay until morning? He met her eyes that had learned to expect rejection. You can stay, he said quietly, as long as you need. Ava exhaled, a release, a surrender. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like she had to run. But morning would come, and with morning came consequences. And someone out there, someone powerful, was already searching for the billionaire's missing daughter. Morning sunlight crept through the thin curtains, soft and golden, brushing the edges of the small living room where Ava slept curled beneath a borrowed blanket. For a few seconds, she didn't remember where she was. The couch, the quiet, the faint smell of coffee drifting from the kitchen. And then she exhaled, a slow, relieved breath. For the first time in months, she'd slept without waking up in panic. Across the room, Ethan was making breakfast, moving with quiet efficiency, so he wouldn't wake Lily. Ava watched him from beneath the blanket, her chest tightening at the unfamiliar tenderness of the scene. She wasn't used to mornings that felt gentle. Good morning, Ethan said when he finally noticed her awake. How's the ankle? She shifted, testing it with a small wince. Still hurts, but better than last night. He nodded, pulling a chair out for her at the small dining table. Sit, eat something. Ava hesitated. Not because she didn't want to, but because no one usually waited for her to join them. In her world, meals were served by staff, eaten alone in oversized rooms where conversations echoed against marble floors. Here, the warmth felt almost foreign. She sat slowly. Ethan placed a plate of scrambled eggs and toast in front of her. It's simple, but it helped start the day. She stared at the plate for a moment before taking a bite. A tiny sigh escaped her, the taste hitting deeper than she expected. Not because it was extraordinary, but because it tasted like something made for her, not for show. Lily shuffled into the room moments later, hair still wild, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Morning, Daddy. She blinked at Ava. You stayed. Ava smiled, a small, unsure one. Yeah, hope that's okay. Lily nodded enthusiastically. Good. I didn't want you to be alone in the rain again. Ava's chest tightened, too overwhelmed to respond. She wasn't used to someone caring where she spent her nights. After breakfast, Ethan gathered dishes. Ava stood quickly. I can help. You don't have to, he said. I know, she replied softly. That's why I want to. He handed her a towel, and they worked side by side in a quiet rhythm. It was peaceful, too peaceful, maybe, because with peace came a thought she'd been avoiding. Someone would be looking for her. Someone powerful. Someone who didn't like losing control. As the last plate dried, Ethan leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Ava, do you want to tell me what actually happened last night? She stiffened. I told you. I ran away. I know. But why last night? What changed? Her throat tightened. The memories hit like cold water. My father scheduled another press interview, she whispered, about our perfect family. About how proud he is of me. How well I'm doing. She scoffed. All lies. Ethan waited. He said I had to smile more, to behave, because investors were watching. Her voice wavered. When I told him I wasn't his puppet, he told me I was embarrassing him, that the world would be better off if I disappeared until I learned how to act. Ethan's jaw clenched. He said that to you? He said worse. She wrapped her arms around herself. I just snapped. I grabbed whatever I could carry and ran. Security chased me, so I kept running until I couldn't feel my legs. She blinked rapidly, tears threatening. I didn't think anyone would help me. Not after the headlines. Most people assume I'm trouble. Ethan stepped closer. Last night, I didn't see trouble. I saw a girl who needed someone to stop judging her and just be there. Her chest ached at how gently he spoke. No one talked to her like that. Not with patience, not with sincerity. But reality pressed in quickly. Her father would send out search teams. Paparazzi would swarm the streets. Her face would be everywhere. And if anyone found out she'd stayed with a single dad in a modest apartment, tabloids would tear them apart. Her breathing turned shallow. Ethan, maybe I should leave before I make things worse for you. You're not causing trouble, he said firmly. She shook her head. You don't understand. My father destroys anything that doesn't fit his image. If he finds out you helped me. Ethan stepped closer, steady and unafraid. Ava, you're not going anywhere until you're safe. And right now you're not. Her lips trembled. Why was this stranger fighting harder for her than her own family? Lily tugged Ava's sleeve suddenly. Do you want to see my drawings? I made a new one. Ava knelt beside her, grateful for the distraction. I'd love to see them. Lily retrieved a stack of papers. Flowers, animals, a picture of her and Ethan holding hands. But the last drawing made Ava pause. It was a sketch of 3 figures, Ethan, Lily, and Ava, standing under a blue sky with smiles drawn wide. Ava swallowed hard. Why? Why did you draw me here? Lily beamed. Because you look like someone who needed a place. Ava's breath hitched. Needed a place. Not money. Not fame. Not perfection. A place. A home. A family she wasn't born into but might belong to anyway. And that realization frightened her almost as much as it comforted her. Because good things in her life never lasted. Now it's your turn. Share one small good thing you did this week. Write it below so others remember that kindness still exists. Your story might be the light someone needs tonight. Ava sat back, hugging her knees, overwhelmed by the sudden swell of emotions she didn't have names for. She glanced at Ethan, steady, warm, present, and something inside her whispered that he wasn't like the others. But before she could gather her thoughts, a loud knock pounded at the door. 3 sharp bangs. Not casual, not polite. Ava's face went pale. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Lily clutched her rabbit tighter. A voice thundered from the hallway. Open the door! Now! Ava froze, pulse racing. They'd found her. And everything gentle in this little apartment was about to collide with the world she'd been running from. The pounding on the door echoed to the apartment like a threat wrapped in wood and metal. Ava's breath hitched, and she shrank back instinctively, her fingers trembling against her knees. Ethan stepped in front of her without thinking. A protective reflex he didn't question, just obeyed. Lily whimpered softly. Ethan bent down, whispering, Go to your room, sweetheart. Close the door. She nodded, scurrying away, clutching her rabbit. Another slam rattled the frame. Ethan, Ava whispered, voice tight, Please don't open it. But Ethan had already moved closer, standing tall, shoulders squared. I'm not letting anyone hurt you. He peeked through the peephole, and his jaw tightened. 2 men in suits. security detail, her father's agents. Not police yet, but close enough to bring the world crashing down. Ava Lancaster, one barked. We know you're inside. Step out immediately. Ava's entire body shook. Ethan, they'll drag me back. Please, please don't let them take me. Her desperation hit him like a blow. He opened the door, only a crack, and stood in the gap. She's not ready to leave. The lead agent scoffed. Not ready? She's a minor. She doesn't get to decide. Her father is. I don't care her father is. Ethan cut in, voice low but steady. She's terrified. You don't storm in here until she knows she's safe. The man's eyes narrowed. Step aside, Mr. Cole. Ava's breath caught. Ethan. He didn't move. She came here on her own, Ethan said. If she wants to talk to you, she will. But you're not going to intimidate her in my home. The agent stepped forward as if to push the door, and Ethan pushed back harder, the edge of the door slamming against the man's shoulder. You want to get physical? The agent hissed. You break into my home, you're trespassing. Ethan shot back. The air crackled between them. Then the second agent lifted a phone. We can call the police. You really want them involved? Think about your daughter. Ethan's heart lurched, but he didn't step aside. Ava stood behind him. Shaking, she knew this was her fault. Knew she dragged danger into this tiny apartment that had done nothing but show her kindness. She stepped toward the door, voice trembling. Stop. I'll talk to them. No, Ethan said instantly, turning to her. You don't owe them anything. Ava nodded, though tears pooled in her lashes. But I owe you not ruining your life. The agent straightened as she appeared in the doorway, but Ava kept a hand on Ethan's arm, anchoring herself. What do you want? She asked. You caused a city-wide search, the lead agent snapped. Your father demands your immediate return. Ava shook her head. I'm not going back. It's not a choice. You disappear again will involve the police, media. Let them, she whispered, surprising even herself. Maybe then everyone will finally know he's not the father he pretends to be. The man stiffened. Watch your words. Ethan stepped between them. She's done being threatened. If you want her to cooperate, try speaking like human beings. The two agents exchanged a look, cold, calculating. Finally, the lead one spoke. We'll inform Mr. Lancaster you're safe, but he expects you home by tonight. He stepped back. We'll return. Ethan shut the door firmly, locking it. Ava stood frozen, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. The moment the latch clicked, she collapsed into the nearest chair, burying her face in her hands. I messed everything up, she choked. They're going to ruin your life now. They'll use Lily against you. They'll... Ethan knelt in front of her, gripping her shoulders gently. Ava, look at me. She lifted her eyes, broken and terrified. You didn't ruin anything, he said. You needed help. You needed somewhere to breathe, and I'm glad you came here. She stared at him as though he'd spoken in another language. But you don't understand what my father can do. Ethan shook his head. I don't care who he is. You matter. That's enough. A sob broke through her chest, raw, helpless, releasing years of fear she'd swallowed alone. And as she cried, something loosened inside her, something she hadn't let go of since childhood. Not rebellion, not anger, abandonment. Ethan didn't hug her. He didn't overwhelm her. He simply placed one steady hand on her back and let her fall apart. And for the first time, falling apart didn't feel like failure. It felt like healing. If that moment hit you deeply, leave a red heart in the comments. Sometimes one small symbol says what our hearts can't put into words. Ava wiped her face, breath shaking. I don't know what to do anymore, she whispered. If I go home, I'll disappear again. If I stay here, I put you in danger. Ethan's voice was soft. You don't have to decide right now. But Ava shook her head. Yes, I do. She stood on trembling legs, pacing the room. They'll be back. They'll drag me out of here. And if my father thinks you're influencing me, he'll destroy everything you have. Ethan rose slowly. Ava, I can't let that happen to you, she said, voice cracking. Not to you. Not to Lily. For a moment, the room was silent except for Ava's uneven breaths. Then she whispered the words she'd been terrified to say aloud. There's something else you don't know. Something I've never told anyone. Ethan stepped closer, steady. Whatever it is, you can tell me. Ava turned toward him, tears brimming, her secret trembling at the edges of confession. My father didn't just push me too hard, she whispered. He's been hiding something from the world. Something about my mother, and what he did the night she left. Her voice broke, and at last, the truth was ready to spill into the light. Ava's fingers twisted together, knuckles white, her breath trembling as if speaking the truth might shatter whatever fragile safety she'd found in Ethan's small apartment. The morning light washed across her face, soft but unforgiving, illuminating the fear she'd carried for years. Ethan didn't rush her. He stood close, not crowding, not pressing, simply offering quiet presence, a place for her truth to land. Ava swallowed hard. My mother didn't leave because she wanted to. Her voice dropped, cracking under the weight of memory. She left because my father forced her out. Ethan's brow tightened. Forced her how? Ava looked away, eyes glistening. My mother was the only person who ever protected me. She saw how controlling he was becoming, how he treated me like a project instead of a daughter. She confronted him one night, right in front of me. She hugged her arms, shivering at the memory. They thought I was asleep, but I heard everything. Her breath faltered. You know what he told her? Tears filled her lashes. He said she was ruining his legacy, that she was softening me when I needed to be molded. He told her he'd erase her from my life if she didn't stop interfering. Ethan's jaw clenched. And she left after that? Ava nodded slowly. He didn't let her take me. She begged. She fell to her knees. Her voice splintered. I watched him pull me out of her arms. The admission punched the air out of the room. Ava wiped her face with trembling fingers. After she left, he told the world she abandoned us. And I was too young to fight him. Too scared. Everyone believed him. Everyone blamed her. Her voice softened into a whisper. I blamed her too for a long time. Ethan's heart ached. Not out of pity, but out of the cruel injustice of a child believing they were unwanted when the opposite was true. She tried to contact me, Ava continued. Letters, emails, messages through people she trusted. She shook her head. He intercepted everything. I only found out last year. How? Ethan asked. I hacked into his private archives, she whispered. All her letters were there. Hundreds of them, begging him to let her see me, saying she loved me, saying she'd wait until I was old enough to find her. She drew a shaky breath. That's why I started acting out. Not to rebel. Not for attention. I was angry at him, at myself, at the world for believing lies. Silence fell heavy and thick. Ethan finally spoke, voice quiet, steady. Ava, none of that is your fault. She shook her head violently. But it changes everything. If he thinks I'm getting closer to the truth, he'll do anything to keep me under control. A tear slipped down her cheek. And now you're caught in the middle. Ethan stepped closer, gently lifting her chin. I'm here because I choose to be, not because you dragged me into anything. But you have a daughter, Ava whispered. I don't want her kindness to cost Lily her safety. It won't. Ethan's voice held a calm conviction. I won't let anyone hurt her. Or you. She looked at him, searching for cracks in his certainty, but found none. Ethan wasn't reckless. He wasn't careless. He was steady in a way she'd never known a grown man could be. And that steadiness terrified her, because she wanted to trust it. Ethan, she murmured, her voice shaking. What if I can't forgive him? What if I never want to see my father again? Ethan held her gaze. You don't have to decide that now. But whatever you choose, forgiveness or letting go, it has to be for you, not for him. Ava's breath trembled. She'd never been given permission to choose anything for herself. Be honest. Could you forgive after hearing what she lived through? Type forgive if you could, or never if it would break you too deeply. Ava sank onto the couch, exhaustion washing over her. Ethan sat beside her, both of them quiet for a long moment. Not tense, not distant, just existing in the same space, breathing through the storm together. After a while, Ava whispered, "There's more." Ethan waited. "My father isn't just controlling. He's hiding something much bigger. Something tied to my mother." She paused, voice trembling. "The last letter she tried to send me, it said she found evidence, that she was ready to expose him." Ethan's eyes sharpened. Expose him for what? Ava lifted her gaze, fear flickering like a candle in a draft. Fraud. Financial manipulation. He's been funneling money through charities for years, millions. She found the documents. And that's when he cut her off completely. A cold chill filled the room. "Ava," Ethan murmured, "this would put you in danger." "I know." Her voice was barely air. "That's why I ran. I overheard him talking on the phone. He said if I kept digging, he'd handle me the same way he handled her." Ethan's breath stalled. "So yes," Ava whispered, "I'm scared. Not of punishment. Not of him yelling. I'm scared of disappearing like she did." Her confession hung in the air like smoke, dark, choking, impossible to ignore. Ethan reached for her hand, slow and gentle. "You don't have to face this alone." Ava looked down at their joined hands, tears dripping silently onto her lap. "I don't know how to be brave," she said. "You already are," Ethan replied. Before she could answer, the apartment suddenly fell into a tense hush, a feeling, a shift, as if something outside had changed. Ava lifted her head. "Do you hear that?" Ethan listened. Footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate, not security, not neighbors. Something worse. He moved in front of her instinctively. Ava's breath caught, because she recognized that pace, that controlled cadence, the one she grew up hearing. Approaching her room, approaching her mistakes, approaching her life. Her father, he'd come himself. And nothing would ever be the same after this moment. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. Ava's breath froze. Ethan could feel the terror radiating from her. Not the fear of a scolding or punishment, but the primal fear of someone who'd lived too long under a man capable of breaking people without leaving visible bruises. A soft knock echoed. Not harsh, not hurried, calculated. "Ava." A deep voice called, smooth as polished glass. "Sweetheart, open the door." Ava flinched violently, her entire body recoiling. Ethan moved closer, placing himself between her and the door without a second thought. The voice continued, "I'm not angry. I just want to talk." Ava shook her head, mouthing, "He's lying." Ethan stepped forward. "You don't have to open it," he whispered. But her father spoke again, his tone colder now. "Ava, if you make me wait, I'm going to assume you're making poor choices again." Ethan's fist tightened. Ava whispered, "That's how he talks before he explodes. He never raises his voice. He just cuts." Ethan drew a slow breath, grounding himself. He'd dealt with difficult men before, but this was different. This wasn't about ego. This was about protecting a girl who had never once been protected from the man who claimed to love her. He called out through the door, voice steady. "Mr. Lancaster, Ava's not ready to talk to you." A dangerous silence followed. Then her father spoke again, voice thin. "Mr. Cole, I know who you are, and I know you have a daughter, one who depends on you." Ava gasped softly. "That means you understand consequences," he continued. "You'll open this door or you'll regret it." Ava grabbed Ethan's arm. "Please don't let him scare you. Please don't give me to him." He turned to her, brushing a trembling strand of hair behind her ear. "Ava, look at me." She lifted her tear-filled eyes to his. "He doesn't get to decide anything anymore. You do." Her lips quivered. No one had ever said that to her. Not once in 17 years. Her father knocked again, 3 sharp, quiet taps. "Ava, come out here now or I'll come in." Ava backed away until she hit the wall, sliding down, hugging her knees. She looked like a child again, small, cornered, bracing for impact. Ethan's jaw tightened. He'd dealt with bullies, men who used power to intimidate. But this was manipulation sharpened by money and reputation. He opened the door, only an inch, and stood firmly in the gap. Her father's eyes met his dark and polished, the eyes of a man accustomed to bending the world to his will. He wore an expensive coat, a watch worth more than Ethan's yearly income, and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mr. Cole," he said softly, "where's my daughter?" "Safe," Ethan replied without flinching. Mr. Lancaster leaned closer. "You have no idea what you're involving yourself in." Ethan didn't blink. "Then explain it." A humorless smile curled. "This is a family matter, one you're not qualified to navigate." "She doesn't want to go with you," Ethan said. He didn't raise his voice, but the words landed hard. Mr. Lancaster's expression cooled to ice. "Ava's a child, a confused one. She doesn't know what she's saying." Behind Ethan, Ava whispered brokenly, "I know exactly what I'm saying." Her father heard it, and for the first time, his mask cracked. Slightly, a flicker of something like irritation. Quickly buried. "Ava," he called past Ethan. "Come out. Now." She didn't move. Instead, she whispered, "Mom didn't leave because she wanted to." Mr. Lancaster's eyes snapped to hers. "And I know the truth," Ava continued, voice trembling but resolute. "I know what you did to her." A vein pulsed in his temple. "You know nothing. You hid her letters. You lied to me. You said she didn't care." Ava stood shakily, heart pounding. "But she loved me. You kept her away." Her father's jaw tightened. "Ava, come here." "No." Silence. Heavy. Electric. Unfathomable. Ethan placed a steady hand on her back, grounding her. She didn't shrink away. She leaned into him instead, a small, desperate gesture. Mr. Lancaster saw it. His eyes hardened. "I see," he murmured. "You've let this man confuse you." Ethan's voice sharpened. "She's not confused. She's finally being heard." Her father turned slightly, lowering his voice with chilling composure. "Mr. Cole, I'm willing to forget this ever happened. But if you continue to interfere, I'll—" "She's not property," Ethan cut in. A muscle twitched in Lancaster's cheek. "You think you're protecting her," he said softly, "but you're destroying her future." Ava stepped forward, trembling but brave. "My future belongs to me, not you." Her father stared at her, a long, cold stare that stripped the warmth from the hallway. Then he said something that made her soul collapse inward. "You will regret this disobedience, Ava, and so will anyone who helped you." Ava gasped. Ethan's jaw flexed. Mr. Lancaster turned to leave, calm, certain, dangerous. "I'll return with legal authority," he said without looking back. "Enjoy your last hours of reckless freedom." The elevator doors closed behind him. Ava collapsed against Ethan's chest, sobbing. He held her, strong, steady, unyielding. "You're safe," he whispered. "I'm not," she cried. "He'll come back. He always comes back." "We'll face him," Ethan murmured. Together, Ava clutched his shirt, as if anchoring herself to the first safe harbor she'd ever known. But deep down, fear still twisted inside her, a fear she didn't know how to untangle. "Be honest with me. After everything you've seen, could you find it in your heart to forgive someone who caused as much pain? Type forgive if yes or never if some wounds cut too deep to heal." Ethan stroked her hair gently. "Whatever happens next, we're not backing down." Ava lifted her head slowly, eyes red but determined. "Then I need to tell you one more thing," she whispered. "Something my mom wrote in one of her last letters." She drew a shaky breath. "Something that could change everything, for both of us." Ava sank onto the couch, her hands trembling as she reached for the folded piece of paper she'd kept tucked inside her bag all night. The edges were worn, softened by years of being read in secret, touched with longing, smudged by tears she never admitted shedding. "This," she whispered, holding it carefully, "is the last letter my mom wrote before she vanished completely." Ethan sat beside her, not touching the paper, not invading the space, just waiting, steady and patient, the way no one in her life ever had. Ava unfolded it with slow, reverent fingers. "I didn't even know it existed until a few months ago," she continued. "It was hidden in my dad's locked files with the others. But this one was different." Her voice cracked. "She wrote it for me. but he never let it reach me. Ethan's chest tightened. What does it say? Ava inhaled shakily and read aloud, voice wavering. My sweet Ava, if you're reading this, it means I wasn't able to stay. But I need you to know, none of this is your fault. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not unlovable. You are the bravest girl I know. Ava stopped, pressing her hand against her mouth as tears spilled freely. She never stopped loving me, she whispered. All those years I thought she abandoned me. She was fighting for me. Ethan swallowed, nodding softly. And he took that from you. Ava wiped her face, continuing. I've found something. Something dangerous. Something your father will never forgive me for. But the truth must live somewhere, even if I don't. Ava, if I cannot return, I pray you one day find someone kind. Someone safe enough to tell the truth to. Someone who sees you. Ava's breath trembled. Ethan, when I read that part, I thought maybe people like that didn't exist. Ethan finally reached out, gently brushing away a tear with his thumb. You deserve to be seen, Ava. You always did. Her lips quivered, and she leaned into his touch instinctively, a small, fragile motion, as if she'd been waiting her whole life for permission to belong somewhere. But the letter wasn't finished. Ava hesitated before reading the last part. If he ever threatens you the way he threatened me, go, run, and trust someone who has nothing to gain. My little girl, there's a man out there who will protect you without wanting anything in return. When you meet him, you'll know. Ava closed the letter, tears dripping silently onto the paper. And when I met you last night, she looked at Ethan with a trembling breath. I knew. For a moment, emotion hung between them, raw, still unguarded. Ethan's chest tightened, not with ego, not with pride, but with the unbearable sweetness of someone finally finding solace they've been denied all their life. Ava, he murmured, I'm not perfect. I don't have much, but I do care about you. More than I should, maybe, and I won't let him hurt you. Her eyes shone, soft and searching. I believe you, she whispered, and that scares me. Why? Because believing in someone means losing them could break me. Ethan gently took her hands. I'm not going anywhere. A shaky breath escaped her, half relief, half fear, and in that fragile moment, for the first time in years, Ava felt something spark inside her chest. Hope. Strange. Unsteady. Real. If you believe love still wins in the end, comment, amen. Let's fill this space with hope. Someone out there scrolling right now might need to see it. A soft knock came from the hallway. This time not menacing, not forceful. Lily peeked around the corner, holding her drawing pad. Dad, is Ava okay? Ava wiped quickly at her eyes. Yeah, Lily. I'm okay. Lily climbed onto the couch between them, settling comfortably as if she felt no tension at all. I drew something, she said proudly, handing Ava a new picture. Ava unfolded it. A drawing of 3 figures holding hands, standing in front of a small house with sunlight beaming behind it. Ava's breath caught. This is us? Lily nodded. You can stay with us if you want. Daddy says we help people when they're sad. Ava's heart twisted. A soft ache, a healing one. Thank you, Lily. The little girl leaned her head on Ava's shoulder. I like you. Ava blinked back tears. I like you too. For a brief, fragile moment, everything felt peaceful, safe, almost normal. But peace is a delicate thing. And outside, trouble was already stirring again. Ethan's phone buzzed sharply on the table. He glanced at the screen, and his face drained of color. Ava straightened. What is it? He hesitated. It's your father's legal team. They're filing an emergency order. He wants custody rights enforced across state lines. And he swallowed hard. He's accusing me of unlawful detainment. Ava gasped. What? That's insane. You didn't. I know. Ethan rubbed a hand over his face. But he has money, influence, lawyers who can twist anything. Ava shook her head, panic rising. We have to do something. We can't just sit here while he destroys your life. Ethan looked at her, really looked at her and saw the shift. The fear was still there, but something stronger pushed beneath it. Courage, determination, a fire lit by truth and the faint hope of freedom. "What are you thinking?" he asked softly. Ava straightened, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "I'm thinking it's time to stop running," she whispered. "Time to fight back, with the truth my mom died trying to reveal." Her voice trembled but didn't break. "And I'm not doing it alone." Ethan felt his heart steady with hers. "Then we'll face him together." Ava nodded slowly, and for the first time in her life, she believed the words she spoke next. "My father doesn't get to own my life anymore." But neither of them knew the storm that was about to hit, because Mr. Lancaster wasn't done, not even close. The air in the apartment felt heavier now, not with fear, but with a strange sense of readiness. Ava stood near the window, fingers pressed lightly against the glass as she watched the quiet street below. Morning traffic rolled by, unaware that a storm larger than the weather was gathering around them. Ethan was on the couch, reviewing the message from the legal office again, jaw set tight. Lily colored quietly at the table, humming to herself, blissfully shielded from the tension swirling overhead. Ava turned from the window. "I don't want you dragged into this. Not if there's even the smallest chance he can take Lily away or ruin your life." Ethan looked up, steady. "Ava, I'm already in this, and I'm not letting you walk into a fight alone." "But you don't understand," she whispered, pacing. "My father will weaponize everything. Money, media, lawyers. He'll twist this so it looks like you manipulated me. Or—" "Ava," Ethan said gently, rising to meet her. "You're not a threat. You're someone who needed help." Tears pricked her eyes. "But what if helping me costs you everything?" "Then I'll rebuild everything," he said simply. "I've done it before." Ava stared at him, really stared, as if trying to memorize the exact moment she realized that goodness didn't always disappear, that sometimes it stayed. She swallowed. "If I expose his fraud, it'll destroy him, and he'll come after me harder than ever." Ethan nodded. "So we don't do it recklessly. We're smart. We're careful. We gather proof. We take it to the right people." Ava's voice cracked. "I don't even know where to start." "You start," Ethan said softly, "by not being afraid anymore." Ava blinked, breath trembling. "I've been afraid my entire life." "And yet here you are," he murmured, brushing her cheek lightly with his thumb. Standing, her lashes fluttered at the touch. Not romantic, not rushed, just human. A moment of being seen. Lily looked up suddenly. "Ava, are you sad again?" Ava forced a small smile. "A little." Lily hopped off her chair and hugged her legs. "Daddy says when people are sad, they need someone to stand next to them and make the sad smaller." Ava's heart squeezed painfully. She knelt down and hugged the little girl tightly, breathing in the soft lavender scent of her hair. "Your dad's a smart man." Lily beamed proudly. "I know." A tiny laugh escaped Ava, the first genuine one Ethan had heard from her. It warmed the room, but the warmth didn't last long. Ethan's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it and froze. Ava noticed immediately. "What? What is it?" He hesitated, then turned the screen toward her. It was a news alert. "Billionaire CEO Richard Lancaster issues emotional public plea. My daughter has been manipulated by an unstable man. We fear for her safety." Ava's knees nearly buckled. "No," she whispered. "No, he didn't." Ethan stepped beside her. "He's trying to control the narrative. If he gets ahead of the story, people will believe him before you speak." Ava covered her mouth, tears choking her. "He's painting me as a victim of some kidnapping. He's going to destroy your name." "I don't care about my name." "Well, I do," she cried. "I won't let him take your reputation, your job, your life." Ethan reached for her shoulders gently. "Ava, listen to me. This isn't your fault. Your father has been manipulating stories for years. This time we tell the truth." Ava shook her head violently. "The truth won't matter. He'll bury it with money." "Not if we show the evidence," Ethan said. "The letters, his threats, what you witnessed, what your mother found." Ava hesitated, tore between terror and the first taste of freedom she'd ever known. "Ethan, what if I can't be strong enough?" she whispered. He took her hand. Then we'll be strong together. Ava exhaled shakily, her shoulders finally lowering. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she was drowning alone. Outside, sirens wailed faintly in the distance, not coming for them, just passing by. Yet the sound made Ava flinch. Ethan caught it. "Hey," he murmured softly. "Look at me." She looked up, eyes haunted but hopeful. "You're not alone," he said. "Not anymore." And something inside her, something tightly coiled for years, finally loosened. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll fight." Ethan smiled gently, pride shining quietly in his eyes. "Good." Ava squeezed his hand tighter, steadying herself. "But promise me something." "Anything." Her voice softened. "Don't let me face him alone." "You won't," he said. "Not now. Not ever." Behind them, Lily tugged at Ava's sleeve again. "Ava." Ava knelt down. "Yeah, sweet girl. If your dad is mean, does that mean you don't have one?" Ava blinked hard, throat tightening. I guess so." Lily thought for a moment. Then she took Ava's hand and placed it on her own chest. "You can borrow mine," she said softly. "Daddy takes care of everyone." Ava's heart shattered and healed at the same time. She hugged Lily fiercely, tears spilling silently. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know how much that means." Ethan looked away, swallowing emotion he didn't want her to see, not because he was embarrassed, but because he felt it too deeply. Ava rose slowly, wiping her face. "I'm scared," she admitted, "but I'm ready." And she meant it. If this story moved you, don't scroll past quietly. Tap like, not for me, but for Ava, for the girl who carried years of pain and finally found the courage to stand. One click can be your way of saying, "I felt this." Ava turned toward Ethan, her voice gentle but steady. "Whatever happens next, thank you for seeing me, for protecting me, for giving me a place to breathe." Ethan stepped closer, brushing a stray tear from her cheek. "You deserve more than a place to breathe, Ava. You deserve a life that's yours." She exhaled, nodding slowly. "Then let's go take it back." And with that, together, side by side, they stepped toward the door of the small apartment, not running, not hiding, but finally choosing their future. A future built on truth, courage, and the unexpected kindness of a single dad who changed your life forever. Final moral. Sometimes a family you're born into wounds you so deeply that you forget what safety feels like. But life has a quiet way of placing new people in your path. People who see your hurt, stand beside you, and hold the pieces long enough for you to heal. And when you finally choose to believe them, that's when your story begins again.